What's up, guys? It's your boy, Barca Boy 103. Today we're going to be reacting to the Barcelona news over the past 48 hours, where there is a lot of topics to discuss. Firstly, the pin position has gone mad. We got the here we go for Brozovic to Al Nassr, but then Al Nassr backed at the deal last second. Now Brozovic apparently is still available, but there is a full agreement with Brozovic and Al Nassr on personal terms. That whole situation is a madness. I'll give you guys the analysis on that. But Oriol Romeu is the alternative option, and Barcelona have already spoken to both Girona and the player himself on a transfer. But the two most advanced deals for Barcelona at the moment are the advancements of Arda Guler and Ivan Fresneda, where Deco is the spearhead. He has traveled to Istanbul to negotiate for the transfer of Arda Guler, where he would sign this summer but then join next summer in 2024. And also he's pushing for Ivan Fresneda to join and be the new right back for Barcelona ahead of Joan Cancelo. We also have some updates on some of the other transfers coming in as well, like Arnau Tenas, a new goalkeeper, hint hint nudge nudge, and also Yannick Carrasco will not be joining Barcelona. Exit updates, of course, Umtiti left Barcelona yesterday, contract termination. We have other updates on Ferran Torres, Raphinha, Franck Kessie. Huge contract renewal update on Ousmane Dembele, has communicated to Barcelona that he wants to commit his future to the Blaugrana. Also some other general news as well. And finally, we do have the big interview of Joan Laporta that he did on TV3 a few nights ago, where he gave all the updates around Barcelona, around Espai Barca, the other sports sectors as well, Messi tribute match, targets in the transfer market. He talks about Arda Guler, Brozovic, Zubimendi, Kimmich. He gives a huge rundown of everything surrounding Barcelona essentially. But before we get into it, make sure you guys smash that like button down below. Let's try to get the 200 likes this video. Be very much appreciated. Also, if you're new, make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Let's start off with the transfer news over the past 48 hours. Now, first I want to talk about, of course, Barcelona's main target currently in the pivot, and that is, of course, Marcelo Brozovic. As we all know, Barcelona have been battling with Al Nassr for his signing. In yesterday's video, or the video the other day, I told you guys that Brozovic wants to join Barcelona. He's given Barcelona a deadline of around a week to come up with an offer for Inter Milan and himself, and also in writing that he will be registered, and if that all happens, he will sign. He's given his word to Barcelona because he wasn't happy with Al Nassr's first proposal. 12 hours later, Al Nassr goes to Brozovic and says, hey, we'll give you whatever you want. What number you want? 30 million a year? We'll give you that. And Brozovic says, sure thing. Fabricio Martinez tweeted, exclusive, Marcelo Brozovic says yes to Al Nassr. Here we go. Verbal agreement reached, waiting to sign all the contracts now. Understand he'll undergo medicals on Friday, yesterday, and then a final check to the contracts. Deal will be valid until June 2026, so a 3-year deal. He also says that more than Brozovic accepting, it's Al Nassr that accepted all the conditions that Marcelo Brozovic required to join them. So Fabricio Romano saying that everything that Brozovic asked Al Nassr for, they're giving it to him. Inter will get a 23 million euro fee. Brozovic will get a 100 million euro package for the entire 3 years. So sign-on bonus and also a salary, 100 million for those 3 years. Again, 3-year contract until 2026. So we're all sitting there thinking, all right, Brozovic is done. Who are our alternatives? Parejo, Romeu, whoever the case may be. This happened around, Thursday evening. Fast forward to Friday morning, and we're getting reports that Al Nassr have now pulled themselves out of the deal. They have retracted their offer to Inter Milan in favor of a cheaper one. The Marcelo broke the news saying that Marcelo Brozovic's move from Inter Milan to Al Nassr has been frozen as the Saudi club has asked to change some conditions. Al Nassr changed their offer from 23 million euros to 15, including add-ons. It will be 13 million upfront plus 2 in variables, and Inter Milan are refusing. And Matteo Marito confirmed the news as well, so the negotiations now have fully stopped. What the bloody hell is going on? I have never seen this in my life. A team that agrees with you with the club, pushes for the player, gives everything the player wants, then goes back to the club and reduces the offer. What doesn't make sense to me is that Al Nassr are giving Brozovic 100 million euros as a package. So, maybe 20 on sign-on fee. So let's say 30 million net per year. So that's 30 for 3 years. So that's 90 plus 10 million just to sign. So there's his 100 million euro package. And then Al Nassr then try to save 8 million euros with Inter Milan. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, you're giving the player 100 million, but you want to save 8 million on a transfer fee. boggles my mind. Nonetheless, this deal is currently on hold. We got the here we go from Romano, but he does say waiting to sign all the contracts. He does have that little line there to kind of save him if his deals fall through. But he didn't give a here we go. He had the, Brozovic in the shirt and everything, and he's been quite adamant that Barcelona only had interest, they weren't really concrete. Nonetheless, we'll wait and see. Again, with the target we're about to talk about right now, I'd much rather have Brozovic over the Spaniard from Girona. So we'll wait and see how things develop in the situation. Again, also, if Al Nassr are trying to offer 15 million, we can match that. I'd offer, 16 or maybe even 15 up front just to piss them off, because we can get that deal done. 23 maybe you could say is a bit too much, but if they're offering 15, we can definitely match that. So we'll wait and see how things go. I think most likely he will join Al Nassr. Maybe Al Nassr will say, oh, whatever, here's your 23 million. I highly suspect that this deal will be going through, but hey, if it crumbles, we're going to be there lurking, hopefully, in the background. But for now, Brozovic is still very, very close to Al Nassr. He's agreed in personal terms. That's 100% confirmed. It's just now Inter Milan and Al Nassr, the two clubs, fine-tuning the final details of the transfer fee. Now, with the Brozovic operation looking very unlikely, the club now have to go for yet another pivot target. Their fourth of the summer. One that is on the table for the past few days has been Dani Parejo, but that has now been ruled out. Fernando Polo from Deportivo came out saying that Barcelona have ruled out the signing of Dani Parejo, which leaves just one name, who was, of course, I think, 6th or 7th on Joan Laporta's list a month ago when I was in Barcelona. So he's now the main target, and it is, of course, Oriol Romeu. Ferran Martinez from Deportivo came out saying there have been already contacts for Oriol Romeu. Barcelona will go for him if the Brozovic deal does not happen. Looks like it won't happen. He has a 10 million euro release clause that Barcelona hope to lower to around 5 million euro transfer fee. Now, before I continue with the Romeu rumors, this release clause has been all over the place for me. I don't know what his release clause is. I've heard 5, I've heard 10, I've heard 2, I've heard 6, I've heard 7, I've heard a lot. Any number between 1 and 10, I've heard. So I honestly have no idea what the release clause is. Nonetheless, we shall continue. Esport 3 came out saying that Barcelona have already started to move on the Oriol Romeu. First contacts have been established with the player's entourage. Jaime Miguel from AS came out saying that Xavi gets a response yes to the signing of Oriol Romeu. He was a serious option even when Busquets was going to stay. Xavi considers Romeu to be a player who can offer immediate performances. How old is he, man? Like 35, 38 immediate performances, my blood clot. Joan Laporta came out saying that tomorrow, this is of course yesterday, will be an important day for Oriol Romeu. The club has already spoken to his agent, even brought up a proposal. Barcelona will now have to speak with Girona. Gabriel Sanz from Deportivo came out saying that Xavi's made it clear to the club that he wants Oriol Romeu. Now he wants him to be available for the first day of preseason on July the 10th. There have been pictures of Romeu in Barcelona meeting with his agent as well. Again, he lives in Barcelona, so that's not a big thing. Girona, where he plays, city is in Barcelona, so that's not a big, advancement. But Fernando Polo and Roger Toledo from Deportivo came out saying that Oriol Romeu is Xavi's favorite for the pivot position now after failing to sign Brozovic. However, there is no total consensus in the sports sector. Some voices want to bet on Nico Gonzalez, but Xavi does not see him as a pivot. So with this signing, not everyone agrees with it in the Barcelona sports sector, whether that's the coaching staff, Mateo Reman, Deco, whatever the case may be. I certainly don't agree with it, because why in God's green earth are we about to sign a 38-year-old? I'd rather bet on Nico as well. I don't even care if he's a pivot. What are we doing spending 5 to 10 million euros on a player who's going to give us 1 year at the absolute max? The club will give him a 2-year contract because they want to retain that value, which is understandable, but it makes no sense for me. Esport 3 also came out saying that Girona do not want to negotiate with Barcelona regarding Oriol Romeu, and they also don't want the inclusion of a player to reduce the price as well. Barcelona's attempts to sign the players have left them in discomfort. Barcelona will have to pay the 5 million euro release clause of this contract. They have made this clear. Again, 5 million, 10 million, I have no idea what the release clause is. And finally, Joan Laporta confirmed that negotiations between Barcelona and Girona for Oriol Romeu are progressing. Look, if it's what Xavi wants, fair enough, whatever. And I get it, you want to put some one-stop gap for a year until maybe next summer where Zubimendi becomes way more of a target, or maybe even Kimmich when he has 1 year left on his deal. I get it. But Oriol Romeu, are you telling me there's no one else? I'd rather play Sofiane Amrabat in the pivot. I really would. Like, this signing for me has no long-term game. It's purely short-term. I'd rather spend 20 on Amrabat, play, Frankie or Gundogan or him in the pivot, even though they're not pivots, and then next summer have Amrabat push him up in the midfield, bring in a pivot. That's what I would do personally. I get it for this season, you're kind of screwing yourself a bit, but short-term gain, short-term pain, long-term gain. This is just short-term pain and long-term pain. It doesn't make sense whatsoever, in my opinion. But if it's what Xavi wants, I'll back it. It is what it is. So we'll wait and see. We've been talking about pivot being top priority. Xavi in press conferences, left, right, and center, pivot top priority. We're now down to freaking Oriol Romeu. I mean, scenes. I do still hope that Brozovic to Al Nassr does fall through, because I would take Brozovic over Oriol Romeu every single second of every single day of the week. But we'll wait and see. Currently, as of this moment, the top priority in the pivot right now is Oriol Romeu, with the Brozovic operation still lingering. It's either going to be Romeu or Brozovic at this point. I do kind of, come to that, conclusion, but we'll wait and see, as Barcelona have started negotiations with both Oriol Romeu and Girona for the transfer of the Spanish midfielder. But the midfielder who Barcelona have made the most advancements on so far over the past few days has been the signing of Arda Guler. As I've been talking about on the channel over the past few days, the club is kind of looking for a creative midfielder to be the icing on the cake for this transfer window, whether it's Guler or Lo Celso. But the club are very, very strong on signing Arda Guler. They've been pushing a lot over recent days, and it is Deco who is under this operation and pushing for it heavily, as they see this player as an absolute gem. Firstly, the Marcelo came out saying that Barcelona under Deco are pushing and pursuing a concrete attempt to bring Arda Guler to the club. Some sources suggest that he had flown to Turkey today, of course this was yesterday, with the aim of beating the competition. This was then confirmed by Sport, saying that Deco has indeed traveled to Istanbul to meet with Fenerbahce and the agents of Arda Guler. He is considered a strategic signing by Barcelona, and they want to convince the player. Juan Martí then confirmed this, saying that Deco has traveled to Turkey to try and make progression on the signing of Arda Guler. Barcelona hope that Arda stays one more year at Fenerbahce. They are fighting to find a creative formula under the economic situation. So it's now confirmed that this will be a signing for next summer, 2024, but Barcelona want to secure it now. Juan Martí also came out saying the feeling at Barcelona after the meeting in Turkey is that Arda Guler is a little closer to Barcelona. The meeting went well, but still a lot to be done. Optimism is growing. Milan and Real Madrid are not giving up either, but Barcelona has accelerated a lot. Despite initially preferring a smaller step, Arda Guler has come to realize that Barcelona are pushing for him a lot. This has then resulted in a notable shift in his openness towards joining the club in 2024. So Barcelona, being very interested in him and convincing him a lot, is now making him more open to saying up for Fenerbahce one more year and then joining Barcelona in 2024. Sport also came out saying that Barcelona are now in pole position to sign Arda Guler after Deco's trip to Istanbul. The three parties advanced yesterday, and some details are left for the operation to be a reality. Barcelona are still optimistic, and right now Barcelona is the most likely destination for Guler. Deco very close to getting the signing of his first bet. In any case, Guler is expected to arrive in 2024 if the operation goes through. It is not taken for granted yet, but Barcelona have taken the right steps to make this signing a reality. Ben Aid also mentioned that Deco, while in Istanbul, will also meet with the president of Galatasaray. Maybe there can be a sale. I doubt there'll be a signing from Galatasaray, but possibly a sale in that sense. That Deco making good use of his trip to Turkey. Now, Barca Times on Twitter, who have been doing very, very well the transfer window, came out with some exclusive news on Arda Guler. They came out saying that here is Deco's offer for Arda Guler. One part of the payment in 2023, then the bigger part of the payment next year in 2024, and he'll continue for another year at Fenerbahce. And Deco met with Ali Koch, the president of Fenerbahce, and the Arda Guler family as well. The offer is already on the table, and there's optimism about the deal. So again, Arda Guler does have a release clause of 17.5 million euros, so I do suspect that Barcelona are going to be offering maybe a little bit more to get this deal done in 2024. Hypothetically, you could say they agree on a fee of 20 million euros, pay 5 million euros now, 15 million euros next summer, and that way the player can stay at Fenerbahce for a year. That'd be technically Barcelona loading him back, but theoretically he would not be moving. And now we're also hearing reports coming in from Turkey as well. One journalist has come out saying that Barcelona have asked Fenerbahce and Arda Guler for a week to solve their financial problems. Deco will soon return on the matter. Also, another reporter saying that Barcelona made an official offer to Fenerbahce for the transfer of Arda Guler, and includes a plan that the player will stay in Istanbul for one more year. Arda and his family will make the decision after meeting with Deco. So again, the offer is clear. It's going to be a transfer that this summer, but Arda Guler will stay at Fenerbahce for a year, where Barcelona will pay most of the transfer fee next summer for the player. But again, this is all in the works of Deco. He is the one who is pushing for the player. He's the one who likes the player, and he's the one that's trying to make this operation a reality. For me, absolutely fantastic work, and I think Arda Guler is a top gem. Again, if we can get him this summer, it would be better in my opinion, get him integrated straight away. But if it's financially why he can't join now, then fair enough. But I think if we can make it happen, it would be great to get him now. But nonetheless, I think getting him next summer is still very big W in my opinion. So wait out to see how things develop. There have been reports about apparently Barcelona have to sell Ousmane Dembele as well. That's coming in from Turkey as well. But to sell Arda Guler, they want to sell Dembele to get the money for Arda Guler. That for me is a little bollock, especially if Barcelona are going to do the majority of the payments next summer. I mean, he won't be more than 20 if you're doing the majority of payments next summer. I'm expecting Barcelona will pay no more than 5 to 8 million this summer. So we'll see how things develop. But again, Barcelona making big moves on Arda Guler as they expect the player to sign for Barcelona this summer, but then join next summer in 2024. Now, another player who Deco is also pushing to sign alongside Arda Guler is Ivan Fresneda. Matteo Morita from Renewal has come out saying that Barcelona are in the lead to sign Ivan Fresneda. Deco convinces the club to go after him, and he also admires him a lot. They are seriously considering to make a first offer officially, much less than his 20 million euro release clause, in the coming days. Excellent. Is Fresneda my dream right back? No, he's not. But young talent in a young squad, and also it is a right back coming in. I cannot stress how badly we need a right back in the squad. No natural right back whatsoever. But I would say this. If we are paying his release clause, if we offer 10, they rejected, 15, they rejected, they end up asking for his 20, we should go for Arnau Martinez at that point. But if we can get him for a bit cheaper, I understand it. Look, I think he's probably the second best Spanish right back behind Arnau Martinez. In terms of youngsters, you could say Carvajal is better than them and Jesus Navas. But in terms of the younger right backs, I think it's him and Arnau Tenas that will be the future right backs for the Spanish national team and in Spain in general. So I'm very pleased with Barca's pursuit. But again, most importantly, signing a right back for me has been one of the priorities alongside a pivot, and it looks like Barcelona are going to do so. Of course, also Bayern Munich over the past 24 hours have confirmed that Joan Cancelo will return to Man City. They will not extend his loan move or buy him with the 70 million euro buy option they do end up having. So that's also one to keep out for as well. I would probably push for Fresneda. Most I would pay for him is around 10 to 15 million euros as a package. If we can't get him for that, I'd rather spend that money on bringing Joan Cancelo, whether it's on a loan or, maybe we can pay part of his transfer now, part later as well. Whatever the case may be. But we'll wait and see. But again, it is Deco who is pushing for Ivan Fresneda to be Barcelona's new right back this summer. Now, another Spanish player who Barcelona want to sign this summer is Arnau Tenas. I mean, this club is unbelievable. You will never see twists and turns and stories like there are in Barcelona. I mean, the madness is just unbelievable from Brozovic to this. Now, as we all know, Arnau Tenas did confirm that he was leaving the club this summer as the club did not want to execute the option to renew his contract. He said this in a press conference with the under-21's Spanish national team. It was confirmed by Alberto Roque as well from Gigantes, one of the best sources around Barca, Athletic, and La Masia and juvenile sides as well. A few days passed, and Mundo Deportivo are reporting that Arnau Tenas will actually renew his contract with Barcelona. The club will execute the option to extend his contract until 2025, but the idea is to loan him to a first division side. And then the reports followed through. Alberto Roque, Gigantes, who actually broke the news that Arnau Martinez was going to leave, he came out saying that Arnau Tenas' environment denies that he has renewed his contract. Barcelona can't execute the +2 option they had because it is now expired because the terms ended on June the 15th. If the club want to renew him now, he has to negotiate like any other club. Fernando Polo from Deportivo came out saying that Barcelona now wants to renew Arnau Tenas. The club needs to talk and negotiate with Arnau's agent, who is Ivan de la Peña, same agent as Xavi, but the renovation is not done yet. Nassr came out saying that Barcelona wants Arnau Tenas to continue, but they have to negotiate because the automatic clause has expired. The club wants to continue or have control over him, but adapt to the new salary. So Barcelona are in for Arnau Tenas. So I gotta include this into the signing section because we can't sell or renew him because he's no longer a Barcelona player. It's now July the 1st. So the club still want to keep him. They want to try and renew his contract. Again, the plan is to sign him then loan him immediately. We are hearing reports that Burnley are leading the race for his loan move because Vincent Kompany is a big fan of the player. And also, Barcelona tweeted a farewell image of the Barcelona athletic players who will be leaving. You know, the likes of Alba and the right back, I forget his name. There's a picture of around 13 players, and Arnau Tenas was not included in that picture, so you never know. And also Laporta confirmed that this is going to happen. We'll talk about this in Laporta's big interview at the end of the video. But the club are in for Arnau Tenas. They want to renew his contract. They want to sign him as a free agent at some point this summer. And then the plan is to immediately loan him out. Now, a player who will not be joining Barcelona this summer is Yannick Carrasco. As we all know, the club did have an option to buy him for around 19, 16, 17, 15, 14 million euros, whatever the clause was. I've heard numbers all over the place. But the option to buy Carrasco has officially expired. Markov came out saying that today is the last, well, yesterday you could say was the last day for Barcelona to execute the 19 million euro buy option for Carrasco. After that, it will rise to 60 million euros, which of course is his release clause, and there's no news from Barcelona which suggests that there will be movements. And then Alex Pentella from Goal came out saying the option to buy Carrasco expires yesterday, and now it's 100% confirmed that they won't be utilized. Xavi liked him for his versatility, but the operation can't be carried out because of the economic situation. So Carrasco is no more. If the club want him this summer, they gotta negotiate from scratch with Atletico Madrid. But to be fair, we have been very kind to them in the Griezmann operation, so we might be able to finagle a 20 million euro fee, 25 million euro fee. Again, the 60 million euros is his release clause. He does only have 1 year left on his deal as well, so I think Atletico Madrid would be open to selling him unless they want to, renew his contract. But Carrasco buy option is no longer on the table anymore as it has expired. Let's now discuss the players who have been rumored to leave Barcelona over the past 48 hours. First up is Raphinha. As we all know, Barcelona have converted an exit over the past 24 hours in Samuel Umtiti, but more exits are needed, and Ben Aid is reporting that Raphinha is attracting interest from Saudi Arabia. Of course, Saudi Arabia, this transfer window have been an absolute mad thing, so I would not be shocked if Saudi bid 100 million euros for Raphinha, because honestly, if we had an 80 million euro bid from Newcastle, I think it would take 100 to convince, Raphinha. I think Barcelona would probably accept around 90 to 100 as well. So, talking big money if this is the case. We'll wait and see if anything materializes from this. But again, interest is interest. I mean, I'm interested in Enzo Fernandez. It doesn't mean that Barcelona's going to sign him, So, we'll wait and see if anything concrete comes out of this. But again, Saudi Arabia are sniffing around for Raphinha. Now, another player who Saudi Arabia are knocking for at Barcelona is, of course, Franck Kessie. In my last video, I told you guys that Al Ahly is the team that want Franck Kessie. They've already offered 20 million euros to Barcelona and a 10 million euro salary to Franck Kessie. But there are now reports coming in from Gazzetta dello Sport in Italy saying that Al Nassr's plan B, in case they fail to sign Brozovic, is Kessie. The Saudi club has already contacted the players' camp. I told you, stuff around Barcelona is different breed. See how this whole entire 360 circle just comes to fruition? I mean, my God. So Al Nassr want Barcelona's pivot, and if they fail to get Barcelona's pivot, they want to go for a Barcelona midfielder. I mean, bloody hell. I think Franck Kessie could be on the move to Saudi Arabia. That's now two clubs, Al Nassr and Al Ahly, who both want Franck Kessie. And again, the club do want to sell him. Again, they're looking for around 30 million euros. It's just down to offering what Barcelona want and convincing the player. But I think the interest at this point is concrete. We're waiting for the confirmation on the Al Nassr reports, but definitely teams in Saudi Arabia are sniffing around Franck Kessie, and if the price is right, the exit could come to fruition. Now, a player who has communicated in the press that he wants to stay at Barcelona is Ferran Torres. He was speaking in Valencia to Gigantes, and he came out saying that I've been very calm on my vacation and disconnected from everything. I really want to continue at Barcelona, but in football, you never know. Anything can happen. He was then asked whether he received some offers. He said, look, I don't know. My phone has been on airplane mode. My bet is on Barca, and Barca. Now, this is already confirmed a few months ago as well that Ferran Torres is going to stay and then go out to vacation and not talk to anyone. I think it was Jordi Hill from Sport who came out saying that. Nonetheless, Ferran Torres does not want to leave. Of course, there are reports that Some Premier League clubs are interested in him and have offered some deals to Barcelona, but the player is adamant that he wants to stay at Barcelona next season, and we could end up seeing all the wingers staying, whether it's Raphinha, Dembele, Ferran Torres. It looks set in stone that Barcelona might stay with the exact front line they had last season to this season. So wait and see how things come to fruition. Of course, like Ferran Torres said, in football, you just never know, anything can happen. But at the moment, the player is pushing to stay at Barcelona. Now, a player who isn't attracting interest from Saudi Arabia at the moment, but his exit is on the table, is the Barcelona Athletic player Estanis. Juan Martinez came out saying that Estanis Pedrola has several offers after a great season. La Liga clubs such as Valencia, Girona, and Celta Vigo are showing interest. Also, PSV, Anderlecht, and AZ Alkmaar have asked for a price for the player, and the player is clear that he wants to continue growing. So Estanis could be analyzing his options on the table for this summer. I'd like to see him stay in the league, but if he wants to go abroad, then fair enough to him. I think he's at a point now where if he's not breaking to the first team, it's now time to leave. Elias Akumach's exit has been confirmed by the player on his social media. Xavi did a nice little post for him as well, because they were playing in the youth ranks for quite some time now. So yeah, we're at a point now where, you know, if you're not breaking to the first team, it's best to look elsewhere, and that's what Estanis will do this summer. He will look for some options, and again, could be some decent money coming in for Barcelona. Let's then discuss some contract renewal updates around the first team at Barcelona. Just one update, and that is on the contract renewal of Ousmane Dembele, where Fernando Polo from Deportivo broke the news saying that Moussa Sissoko and Deco met each other, and Dembele's agent has communicated that they will not make use of the release clause of 50 million euros that is available in July. The player only thinks about staying at Barcelona and renewing his contract. This is also confirmed by Nassr and Fabrizio Romano. So with the release clause, it could be a club, or it could even be the player and his agent who activate the release clause, but he's told that, you know, his agent Sissoko has communicated to the club that they will not use that option to release the player, as they do want to continue. Absolutely fantastic news. Again, there are some reports in Turkey saying that Barcelona want to sell Dembele to fund the Arda Guler operation, but I highly doubt that. This is a player who Xavi loves, and also on his day is one of the best players in the world, and we have got to keep him, and most importantly, keep him injury-free. We'll wait and see how things develop over the next few days, but again, the club do want to renew Dembele's contract as soon as possible, as he is entering the final year of his deal. Let's now discuss some of the news surrounding Barcelona over the past 48 hours. First, we do have an update on Barcelona's soon-to-be center-back in Inigo Martinez. Jordi Hill from Sport came out saying that Inigo Martinez will settle next week in Barcelona and start training. Once the player is in Barcelona and supervised by the club's physios and doctors, the transfer announcement will be made. The presentation is also scheduled to take place before preseason on July the 10th. As we all know, Inigo Martinez does have a little bit of an injury at the moment. He had surgery a few weeks ago, and once he's fully medically cleared, the club do plan to announce his arrival. And also, Athletic Bilbao did not let us to announce it beforehand. They said they had to wait. They said that we had to wait for his contract to expire on June the 30th, which of course was yesterday. So now he's officially a Barcelona player. He signed the contract months ago, but just now down in the club announcing it. And again, his presentation is planned to take place before preseason. Now, the final topic that I want to discuss before I end off this video is to discuss and analyze Joan Laporta's interview with TV3. He did an interview where he spoke about absolutely everything surrounding Barcelona, from transfers to, you know, other teams as well, you know, the other Barcelona teams, you know, Barca TV Plus. Everything you can think of, he's talked about it. So we're going to get into it. He's even spoke on some deals for this summer transfer window as well. Huge indications. Let's get right into it. He was firstly asked about the 6 league titles that Barcelona won. Of course, each of Barcelona's teams this season have won the league: roller hockey, futsal, basketball, women's, men, and the handball team. He came out saying the priority was the league for the first men's team. It was achieved with authority. We achieved all 6 professional leagues. The women's league won the Champions League with a historic comeback, and everything very good, but we do want more. Then he was asked on the contract renewal of Xavi Hernandez. He said that Xavi has a contract and knows that he's the best coach for Barcelona. He's a great person, and he knows the club. First, there are some priorities, and Xavi understands that. We'll speak calmly. We want him to continue, and so does he. And again, we have no set date yet, but we've talked about the subject a lot. So again, Xavi's contract renewal essentially is agreed, just now about waiting for registration, also fine-tuning some of the details. Joan Laporta was then asked about the signing of Victor Roque. He said that, look, the work is underway on this transfer, and we will see what happens. Then asked on Kimmich and Zubimendi, he said that for what they represent economically at the moment, they are operations that we do not consider. So basically saying that we cannot afford either of them and we will not be going for them. Then he was asked about Brozovic. This is, of course, before the news that Brozovic's transfer was off to Al Nassr. He actually did this interview right after the "Here we go" from Fabrizio Romano. He said, look, Brozovic is also a similar case, perhaps more affordable, but he has a proposal from Arabia and we will not enter into bidding wars. So, will that leave the door open if Al Nassr back out? I'm not quite too sure, but he does basically say that, look, Brozovic is affordable, but we don't want to get into a bidding war. Then asked on Oriol Romeu, he said that I leave this work for Deco and Mateo Aleman. There are a number of names that we like and that we are currently working on. Then asked on La Masia, saying Pau Prem, Marc Brenal, they are great players. Let's hope some of them will be promoted. And he also added that with Pablo Torre, we are currently working on loaning him out this summer. Then he was asked on the situation of Arnau Tenas. Of course, I gave you guys the update, but let's hear the words of Joan Laporta himself. He said, look, we had the option to renew him, but it didn't quite work the financial issue. We want him to continue in Barcelona. He's an excellent footballer and a man who makes a great team. He generates a very good atmosphere. Next week, we'll talk to Ivan Fresneda and Arnau himself. I think we'll reach an agreement, and then he will go out on loan. So again, Laporta does confirm the plan there for Arnau Tenas. Then asked if there will be any harsh sales this summer, whether it's Frenkie de Jong, Raphinha, Koundé, Christensen. He said that last year has passed and we were worse. We had an offer of 100 million euros for de Jong and we did not accept it. There are players who are not on the market. We have received offers for Pedri, de Jong, Araujo, Christensen, and Ansu. So he chucks an Ansu in there. That might be the Wolves offer, but nonetheless, he said that there's a lot of players on the team that we don't want to sell. We don't need any harsh sales this summer, and there are some players who are not on the market. He's then asked about his trip to Qatar, saying that they've always had an interest in football in Barca. We are looking for business opportunities for the club to promote our brand and our assets. I maintain my principles. It's true that there are movements. They have asked us for friendlies with women's team. It would be good for gender equality and rights in this countries. He was then asked on other topics, and that with La Liga we have a recovered relationship with UEFA. There is dialogue with FIFA and with Infantino. There's a very good relationship. He was then asked if Barcelona will play in the Champions League next season. He said, look, I met with Ferran. They want to take advantage of the Negreira case to throw us out of the Champions League. That is his perspective on it. It is now confirmed that Barcelona will play the Champions League next season for about the 10th billionth time. Laporta also added that we have applied to play in the Champions League, and in principle there is no news that they will block our way. So there we go. We will play the Champions League next season. I highly doubt we'll be kicked out. Laporta was then asked about Javier Tebas, saying that we have built bridges. I'm happy to have been able to speak with him and put all the issues on the table. At Barcelona, we cannot have a permanent confrontation with the institution. Again, Laporta was very unhappy that Laporta was very unhappy that Javier Tebas is always speaking about Barcelona in the press and giving us, leaking our information about what player we want to sign and giving his opinions, all that sort of stuff. So hopefully now that's calmed down. It has calmed down for quite a few weeks. He was then asked about Limac, who of course is the company that is dealing with the restructuring of the Spotify Camp Nou. He said, look, we are satisfied with their work. By the end of 2024, we will have 70% capacity and will return to the Camp Nou. Then asked about the debt of Espai Barca, said that we have a debt that we have restructured and improved its quality. The club's accounts work independently of Espai Barca. We had to reduce the cost of the project and we attained finances of 1.45, you could say, billion euros. These millions are repaid with the additional income from Espai Barca. The 20 investors have trusted Barcelona and the project. The project will not harm sports management. The ownership model is guaranteed as well. Barcelona will always belong to its partner. Now, Laporta was then asked about the 50+1 ownership model, which of course is the ownership model of Bayern Munich. Look, I'm not in favor of this model. Oliver Kahn told me the model does not solve anything for them. Of course, he was the former CEO of Bayern Munich. Our model is an added value. American companies value this very much. It has also been confirmed by Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who of course is in the running right now to buy Manchester United. He apparently offered Barcelona 3 billion euros to pay for the Espai Barca reconstructing in exchange for 50% of the club, and Laporta said no. He confirmed this himself to Jim Ratcliffe, which is beyond crazy. The club will never be owned by anyone. It will always be owned by the Socis. Laporta was then asked about the greatest human being to ever touch a football, Lionel Andres Messi. He came out saying, I think Messi wanted to return to Barcelona, and his father said that he had a very hard time adapting in Paris. I did not want any more pressure. I told Jorge and I respected Leo's decision to go to Inter Miami. We are working currently on a super tribute for the player. The opening day of the Camp Nou would be an excellent date for that. Whether it's 2024 or the next one for the 125th anniversary remains to be seen. Laporta was then asked about the basketball sector, which of course is having a big shake up. Their salary has been reduced heavily, a lot of big players, and also the manager has left. Laporta said with Mirotic, we found ourselves with an unsustainable contract, and with Sadas, who of course was the manager, an analysis was made, and we were told that the best thing is that he does not continue. We did not like the approach to renewal, sportingly and financially. So again, the basketball team has taken a big hit in terms of this viability plan. A lot of the big stars are leaving, and also the big star of the manager as well. But again, it's not really a priority for Barcelona. It's just an added value, but I think the basketball team will still be going on its course. Then asked about the sector's wage bills as well. So with the handball, the wage bill is around €8 million budget. With the futsal, it's €5 million. Hockey is €4 million. With the women's team, it's gone up from €8 million to $9 million, which you could say is a definite deserved increase. Then he was asked about Barca TV, which of course has shut down after 24 years in service. He came out saying, I have good news regarding this. An agreement has been reached with Telefónica. We cannot afford to keep a €12 million cost, but I'm happy that we have reached an agreement with the company. We think that we'll be able to help reach an agreement with the majority. Now, when this came out, when Laporta said this, there is no news about this agreement, and then 24 hours later, we got the report from ARA saying that after a 10-hour meeting, Telefónica and Barcelona have reached an agreement for the collective redundancies. Barcelona Studios will hire 14 out of the 94 Barcelona employees. Remaining employees will be on a redundancy agreement, and there will be no lawsuit. Of course, we heard some rumors that the Barca TV employees are going to sue the club and protest. That's of course no longer the case, and we do have an agreement with another television company. And then Laporta talks about Deco and Mateo Alemán. He said that, look, Deco is the sporting responsibility and Mateo Alemán is responsible for finalizing negotiations. The only ones who have the last decisions are the board of directors. And in 99% of the cases, we do end up following Deco, Mateo, and Xavi. Very, very interesting. So Deco and Xavi essentially choose the player they want to go for. Mateo Alemán then negotiates the deal. And of course, when they bring the player to the board, they say, we want to get this player. The board, 99% of the time, according to Laporta, always end up saying yes. Finally, Laporta was asked on the Arda Guler operation. Of course, at the time of his interview, Deco has just been returning back from Istanbul from the negotiation. He said that today Deco was in Istanbul. La Liga allows us to carry out operations for next season without impacting fair play. Arda Guler is a very talented player, and we are trying to close the operation for next year. Again, Laporta just confirmed the club do want to sign Arda Guler this summer, but then he'll join the club next summer in 2024. So overall, powerful interview from Laporta. He's giving us a lot of intel on the wage bill for all the teams at Barcelona, what happened with the Barca sector, Barca TV Plus, how it's going to be televised, Messi tribute coming as well, about the pivot, how we're talking with Oriol Romeu and Brozovic, a very good affordable option, but Kimmich and Zubimendi very, very unlikely. So big powerful interview, giving us all the refreshes and all the updates surrounding Barcelona. So that was my reaction to the Barcelona news over the past 48 hours. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, and of course leave me your thoughts down below in the comments on everything we discussed. The main thing I want first, of course, is your thoughts on the pivot position. Think we can still go for Brozovic? What are your thoughts on Barcelona going for Oriol Romeu if that deal ends up falling through? Second, your thoughts on Deco pushing for Ivan Fresneda and Arda Guler. Do you think Arda Guler will sign for the club this summer, or do you think he'll join next summer? Third, your thoughts on Ousmane Dembele's renewal, and fourth, your thought on Joan Laporta's big interview. And of course, make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time on the channel. Take care, and Forza Barca.